yimpi washasisi ifumene macha yimpi washasisi ogna yimpi washasisi ifumene macha yimpi
We are very grateful to see what is happening here following the much talked about activities that need to happen following the declaration by SADC heads of state in 2012 in Maputo. We are seeing here ex-miners coming through to do physical examination, particularly the chest, to see if they have or have not TB, registering with the bank and going through some screening, health screening, and this is really great in terms of what we are seeing here.
I'm Stuki Motsa from the Ministry of Labour, and I'm the focal person on labour migration issues. We are very happy to have this partnership with the Ministry of Health Swaziland and the Ministry of Health South Africa. It comes at a time where miners had lost hope. They thought that the Ministry of Labour was playing games with them. We did not care about them, and they thought that the South African mines used them, and when they were done with them, they just dumped them. But today all that has come to pass. They are really happy, and as a kingdom and as the ministry and government, we are also happy that at least their dignity will be restored. And for those that got the silicosis, the TB, the hearing loss, they will be compensated. And for those that lost their loved ones, they will also get compensation, of course, though it's not going to bring them back, but it will give closure to the case, because they were wondering as to what happened to the parents' benefits.
I'm here in Swaziland with a group which is really the Gold Group. It was set up about 2 years ago to really work on solutions around the whole silicosis and compensation and payments and the health around the workers, occupational health mainly. What we're also trying to address in the working group, of course, are those ex-miners who have contracted silicosis and who are due compensation and for various reasons haven't been paid, and really trying to track those people and make sure they get their compensation. And there's a big effort on that, as you've experienced in Swaziland, on trying to track these people, trace ex-miners, let them come forward, let them have medicals, collect all the right data so we can actually do what is due to them.
We owe you money. Because of the prevalence of TB in the mines, yeah, we owe you money. Because of the prevalence of TB in the mines, South Africa has got a compensation mechanism, which is called CCOD, Compensation Commissioner for Occupational Disease. Unfortunately, this structure some 15 years back collapsed. People who get TB from South African mines were not being compensated, not at all. And the money to compensate them must come from the mining houses, not from government. But we have now woken up, we have rejuvenated the structure, we have chosen a new commissioner who is an occupational health specialist today, Dr. Berikis Nasami, who is going to address you immediately when I sit down.
So this is ex-mine workers by country. Shows you that there's about 1.2 million ex-mine workers in the region.
Through the process that we had created a database, an electronic database of the ex-mine workers, and we knew those ex-mine workers that we needed to track and trace. The ex-mine workers are not really in any database like a credit bureau or in a telephone company database.
So from the files that were registered and on a project and all the details captured, we created an online database where you can actually search for a specific person. So I'm going to do a specific example now. We're going to search for a person with the name of Robert. You would see that now if I search for that person, I pick up a lot of fields. There's actually a lot of people with the first name of Robert, so I can't search to that. We've limited the amount of search items that you receive or the hits that you receive when you search only on a first name, because we don't want to make lists available for people to actually review. So if I then further define this search, you'll see we'll get a better result for a specific person. Now we can see there's actually 3 people that met the criteria for this search, and we can see that immediately it's color coded, that all their claims are unpaid, and for all of these claimants a benefit medical exam is due. Then if we need further detail for a specific claimant, we can actually click into that search item, and you can see where that person worked, what type of claim it is, and if that person was paid or not paid, and what would happen from there.
So with a grant from the World Bank, we managed to get a tracking and tracing grant that has covered 8 districts in the Eastern Cape and 4 countries: Botswana, Lesotho, Swaziland and Mozambique. And our approach has been to have a team that goes out and does physical tracking and tracing. Of course, we work in partnerships with NGOs like Health Focus and the Ex-Mineworkers Association. They go out and track and trace people and then prepare them for a medical examination and claims management date.
The process started with us physically tracking and tracing people in the districts with the highest burden of unpaid claims. So we contracted the Ex-Mineworkers Association in Swaziland, which then contracted field workers to go out and physically door-to-door trace people who are actually due compensation.
Our role in this project for the World Bank is to mobilize and educate communities in 4 countries: Lesotho, Swaziland, Mozambique and South Africa. Today we are here in Swaziland, in Manzini, where people are coming through after we have mobilized them to come and have their documents checked out and documented for their compensation.
I had a report in the daily in the radio of Swaziland that were invited to register as ex-miners here at this is Millennium Park in Manzini, and there are doctors from South Africa that are going with a mobile clinic. So that's how I came here as an ex-miner to check up myself and register for our compensation that we have been promised about for many years back.
So the difficulties have been really in terms of also customs procedures to get equipment across the border and also get them back in. But otherwise people have been very patient and the numbers are coming in. There are some people who are coming through who have not been given appointments, but we have made a promise that we'll see everybody before the day's end.
So what we are doing here, we are simply testing them, doing the physical examination, checking their blood pressure, checking their heights, checking their weights, and then what we do the chest x-ray and the lung function test, where we want to see if they are able to breathe properly, or even if they didn't get the disease from the mines, because most of them when they come back home they have this problem of silicosis, and we treat them for TB and we don't get the cure. So we want to find out what's the problem, and if these people are sick, we would be glad to see them being paid for these diseases, because they are now disabled. They are not going to help themselves to work anymore.
In terms of payments to date, we paid out 1.3 billion rand, and you can see Lesotho has been the bulk recipient outside of South Africa, 336 million. But we, as Minister pointed out, we have a reality of 103,000 unpaid claimants, and that's the program that we've started off now to actually reach out to countries and track and trace people.
So we have a very successful turnout. We are now in the process, second day of running the mobile clinic. We had approximately 300 people turn out yesterday, and today we had equally a number of people, around 300 people that turned out. So people will be filled in with forms. They have a bank account opened with Swaziland Bank if appropriate, and then they are offered a benefit medical examination with Aurum Institute if appropriate.
The medical examinations and claims management then takes place in partnership with Aurum, that helps to provide the health clinic, which you see behind me. is the health clinic which has come across the border. It has a chest x-ray, we have lung function facilities, we have a clinical evaluation facilities by nurses, and essentially that completes the medical examination part, which is has to be undertaken every 2 years. Many of the ex-mine workers have had previously to come to Johannesburg to get this service, and the fact that we can now take the service to them has meant a tremendous lot. In future there will be fixed facilities built by the Global Fund. There will be 2 for Swaziland, 2 for Mozambique, 2 for Lesotho and 1 for Botswana. They're also putting in some of these fixed facilities in other countries in Southern Africa, but the ones directly linked to us are going to get 5 units, but we still need mobile units as well. So the units and the partnership with Autumn is very important.
10 years ago, the Autumn Institute looked at what could be done to potentially bring the healthcare examination to the industry, to the people where they live, especially once they've retired. And we designed this mobile concept back in 2006, put it together and then tried to present it to the various players in the industry and didn't have much success. I'm not sure if it was seen as something that was not important in those days, or perhaps it was something that could be done better by the government itself. But we eventually managed to persuade Barry Kitsintsami that this is something that would be well worth looking at. And I think he took the initiative from there, and we then worked together with the industry, worked together with government and the MBOD to bring this kind of service to where it is today. And we're really pleased to see it brought to fruition and innovate to actually put together the nuts and bolts of what has to be done and bring it to where the people are.
I think the benefit that we had was that we had already been working on large-scale X-ray programs in South Africa. And what we did is we saw that how similar this BME examination was to the existing process that we had in various prisons in South Africa. And so we modified that process, just understanding the specific needs of that process. And the net result is we were able to come up with a pilot project that I think it was in Kuruman that we were able to actually pilot this process and saw that we could actually get good throughput. Things have gone on from there where we did 70 in 2 days. We're now at a rate of up to 100 BMEs a day, which is a huge success and a huge step up from existing facilities and their ability to do BMEs.
So the whole process here today takes a few hours, and once the paperwork is completed and all the forms are validated, they are then taken back to South Africa for validation, and the payment is made within a month.
I've come here today to go and test because they think it makes me that I must leave the mine. They told me that I've got a silicon cyst, and then they even give me that certificate. Then I came here to come and check up whether I still have that scoliosis. They've checked me. Then after checking me, they gave me a paper that I must go to the bank and go and open the account. They didn't tell me any results of it, what was happening to me. He told me about that. It's only the doctors going to tell me that I'm going to be compensated. But according to my aim, I was aiming that I'm going to be getting paid for that.
The process is slightly bureaucratic and complicated, so payment can only be made into a bank account. So if an ex-mine worker is due compensation, he has to have an active bank account. So there needs to be transactions going through that account. And what we have found is that a number of ex-mine workers do not have an active bank account.
And today here in Swaziland, we've actually found out that there are a lot of people that don't have information and don't know what to do about the issue of compensation.
Nkulu has been here since morning at around 7 o'clock, and unfortunately he didn't have a meal for a day, and currently can't walk, and he needs something to eat. But it's one of the situations that we normally come across on this kind of work, where you'll find that a person has not been having food since morning. This is one of the situations why we have been advocating that the services must be decentralized, must be brought too close to the communities so then they can be able to access it. It's one of the barriers. Most of them, they are too weak to travel. they are too ill to actually stand up and then also do the claims.
People don't have to travel. The services must go to them, because otherwise many of them won't find their way back into South Africa, either because of ill health or because of old age or because of their financial circumstances.
So within the containers will be the basic facilities to do a benefit medical examination, but you'll also have gene expert, audiology, as well as digital X-ray. So the concept of the one-stop center is exactly that. It is a one-stop center. And the reason why we are deploying this and scaling this up is the commissioner will tell you that one of the biggest tragedies in TB is what a mine worker has to do to get services. He has to go to 3 or 4 different offices and be sent around Braamfontein and all over the place to eventually get his whole benefit medical examination done. What this does is it consolidates all of those services in one center. Right? And then what we're doing is we're decentralizing it through the region so that access to care is enhanced. The one more thing we need to mention is that each one of these centers will be linked initially to the South African Compensation Fund, and then as we pilot and test that, we link it to other compensation funds. So what will happen is that the big file that you have in the MVOD will be digitalized. It will be an online application, exactly the same information will go on online, and it will be transferred with the x-rays, with the audios, with the clinical information. All the information that you normally will get at a BME will be digitalized and sent to MVOD. And that would help with the turnaround time, which I believe is unacceptable at the moment. It's sometimes in excess of 5 years to get a single case processed. This year we're hoping that we'll process a case within 90 days, and that depends of course on the MBOD.
Some of the challenges is that these ex-mine workers die in poverty, and their families don't know how to go about making sure that they claim for these ex-mine workers that are dying from TB and silicosis.
I'm not only the Minister of Health in South Africa, by the way. I'm also the chairperson of the Global Board of Stop TB Partnership. What makes me sad is that we now know that TB is the biggest killer of all infectious diseases. But people, even health authorities, they don't seem to know or they don't seem to care, because TB is a silent, slow killer.
The TB testing, unfortunately, was not part of the initial planning. Now that we have learnt our lessons, we've done our pilot projects, we know where the gaps are, and we fine-tune this kind of service delivery. The next step would be to link people to care, because what we are doing here should not be a process that ends only in compensation. It should be a process that ends in care and continued care for people who are very sick. So yes, we are looking into the linking with care, but it needs coordination and cooperation from all departments and all sectors in order to get that off the ground.
We have worked together with the Global Fund and the World Bank to try and coordinate our activities, to develop a common database of all the mine workers in the region who have got TB, to develop common treatment protocols, but also to decide on referral patterns around.
I am humbled to be here today. What I've seen today here, it's one of a kind. I've seen all sorts of people from all walks of life, coming from all regions from the Kingdom of Swaziland. And it is humbling indeed that finally our partners in SADC have come here, and I've spoken to quite a number of the different people are being tested, other people are being recorded onto the computer system, others are going through the x-rays, and others now, as I can see, are queuing with the Swazi Bank to open their various accounts so that their benefits are deposited into the Swazi Bank accounts. This is very humbling that you can put everything together and a one-stop shop where you have doctors, nurses, technicians, and the clients that we serve. Instead of them going from hospital, knocking at this door, everything is here together today. And we really appreciate and thank you to the World Bank for making this possible.
So I'm happy today that things are promising. As I've seen many doctors coming here And the mobile clinic is here, and I've tested my health.
Sisi. Siyabonga macha. Bonga linkosi. Yasenda sibe khona. Sihlonipha uyihlo, uhlonipha unyoko. Uze nisuku takho tekwanzela. Ngoba wena kunene. Kula usukhokhobe. Ya. Utambani ngeke. Ila oh masoma mafa. Ila oh machichi kana. Ila Ay phele mngana, ay phele mbutho.